Hey guys, before we begin, today's video is sponsored by my Marvel channel, Professor X. Do you know I have a Marvel channel? Well, now you do. We just put out a really cool 8-minute video on the Clone Saga. If you're a Spider-Man fan, especially if you want to learn more after recently seeing Spider-Verse, it's a video worth checking out. I'll link to it right now on screen and also down in the description. Listen guys, without the gracious support of sponsors like me, I wouldn't be able to make these videos happen, so go throw some love my way. Alright, on with the video. Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video. I hope everyone is having a great day. As of recently, I've seen lots of discussion about Order 66, and in particular the fact that it seems like there's way too many survivors, and especially in the new Star Wars canon. That's a claim that I want to address today. I'm not going to say that you're right or wrong for thinking that. I'm just going to give my perspective and also give a comparison to Star Wars Legends, because I do find that increasingly it's, Star Wars canon has way too many Order 66 survivors. It is understandable though. As a kid watching the original trilogy, it really feels like there are 3 or really 2 Jedi left. Luke, Yoda for a bit, and Obi-Wan, though he's gone. So in a way, every time a new Jedi is introduced in the original trilogy era and they're old enough to have survived Order 66, it's a bit weird. I do, however, think that the actual prequel trilogies changed my perspective on all of this. The Jedi Purge was largely successful, but it required clone troopers to kill individual Jedi Knights across the galaxy en masse. There wasn't some chip in the heads of Jedi which exploded. It was relying on the fact that the Jedi were fighting alongside their clone troopers. And if you actually look at the Jedi we see survive, well, I mean, Yoda's a weird case. He's the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, has incredible precognitive abilities. He senses that something's wrong, whereas Obi-Wan kind of just lucks out. He's not close enough for his clones to confirm a kill, and you'd think for every few cases where a Jedi is just shot in the back, as is the case with Aayla Secura, there'd be an Obi-Wan type character where the kill's not nearly as clean. Again, nothing really special about Obi-Wan in this situation other than he got lucky. Even after Order 66, we see sort of the same thing with Zet Jocasta. You know, he happened to survive and he died because he was aggressively attacking the clones. Another Jedi in the same situation could have went into hiding. So the way I see Order 66 now, my sort of developing understanding of it, is that 90% of the Jedi, maybe more, were killed in the first, say, 4 hours. The Jedi who were with their clones when Order 66 occurred, the Jedi at the temple, the younglings, those really caught by surprise. That leaves about 10% left. I think a good portion of those were probably hunted down by the Empire after the Clone Wars, but that still leaves maybe 5%, maybe 1% of Jedi left, and even if it is only 1%, the Jedi Order is said to have had 10,000 members. 1% of 10,000 is 100 Jedi left. And when you look at the survivors of Order 66, that feels right scale-wise to me at least. The 1 to 5%, probably on the low end. The Jedi Order is wiped out to the point where they functionally don't exist anymore, but Jedi as individuals have not been completely wiped out. Kanan Jarrus is the perfect example of this. His master is killed, he's not able to fulfill or advance his training, but he's still out there, he's still learning informally, and he's kind of keeping the spark alive. There's sort of a mix of cases where it's Padawan Jedi like Cal Kestis, Grogu, then also older Jedi who probably have a more difficult time. They're grown, their faces probably aren't changing as much, and they're more aggressively being hunted down by the Inquisitorius. Obi-Wan is obviously the best example of this, Yoda as well, but we also have to acknowledge that a lot of the people we consider survivors of Order 66 kinda just made it past the first day. Like, people talk about Jocasta Nu. She was killed the same year as Order 66. Spoiler alert for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but both Seer Junda and her master, like, you could call them survivors of Order 66, but by the time of the original trilogy, which, as I mentioned, is sort of my basis for understanding what the universe is like, they've been dead for a decade almost. I think what they've got to be really careful with is having prominent Jedi who survived and were active alongside Luke Skywalker. Because the question is, why didn't you more directly aid the rebellion? Now, there wasn't anybody else, in my opinion, who could have taken down Darth Vader and the Emperor, but if they did ever have too many Jedi still active around, you know, Return of the Jedi time period and still holding themselves out as Jedi, that's where I would start to take issue. But I mean, Gunji, for example, he survived Order 66, but he's not really holding himself out as a Jedi anymore, at least based than what we saw in the Bad Batch Season 2. But I mentioned at the beginning that people hold this out as a Star Wars canon thing. Is that the case? Was Legends different? Well, yeah, it was different in some ways, and the big thing is that much of Legends was written before Order 66 was fully fleshed out. There was also less content which focused on Jedi during the original trilogy period, but there still were OT-era Jedi. If you played The Force Unleashed, for example, you know Rom Koda. There were also many Order 66 survivors, and again, some of that because they just didn't know what the Jedi Purge was. For example, some of the individuals Luke meets as he's creating his Jedi Order include Empatije host Brand during Dark Empire, Master Ikrit, who helps train students on Yavin, Ord Benir on Ossus. Those last two are kind of different situations though. Kikruk, who joins Luke's Jedi Order, Cam Solusar, who also joins Luke's new Jedi Order. He was a Republic-era Jedi. Vima Deboda, she's almost like an even wackier, sort of screws-loosed version of Yoda. First appeared in Dark Empire, I believe, but appears throughout Legends. Even some of his students, Nico Mars, for example. He was a Padawan during the Republic time. Legends also quite frequently brought back fallen Jedi who weren't necessarily Inquisitors, but survived Order 66 and went evil subsequently. The best example of this, Darth Krayt. I believe the same is true of Beldorion. He was a Hutt Jedi. He goes evil. There's Vergir, though she's captured by the Yuuzhan Vong. Can't really give her credit for surviving Order 66. And just in general, many more. To me, and I think a lot of this discussion comes from the revelation that Balin and Shin were Order 66 survivors. I think they fit in really well with what an Order 66 survivor in Legends is like. So I definitely don't think canon has radically departed from Legends. If anything, Legends was a bit more willing to take Jedi and actually bring them not only to the time of the original trilogy, but even the time beyond. To truly survive the Jedi Purge, in my opinion, you have to actually outlive the Empire, and in canon so far, you can't count Seer in that list. Maybe we won't be able to count Cal Kestis by the end of the day. So I think it makes sense, especially based on what we see in the movie, when we consider the prequels at least. If you're an original trilogy purist, then I think anyone outside of Obi-Wan and Yoda is too many. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours down below.